Did you know? In Kenya, if you employ domestic assistants, such as house help, nanny, gardener, watchman, driver, cook, cleaner, or any other domestic worker, you are legally and morally responsible for their welfare while under your employment. This includes potential responsibility for medical expenses arising from work-related injuries or illnesses, compensation for accidents occurring during the course of duty, loss of income during recovery periods, and long-term disability arising from occupational incidents. Many households only discover this responsibility after a crisis has already happened. A simple kitchen burn, a fall while cleaning windows, a dog bite during errands, or a road accident involving a driver can suddenly become a major financial burden for both the worker and the employer. In some situations, employers may even face legal claims, out-of-pocket medical bills, compensation demands, emotional and reputational distress. Welcome to Insurance World TV, your premier insurance education channel. Today's topic is both practical and extremely important for every Kenyan household employing domestic workers, drivers, gardeners, nannies, cooks, cleaners, watchmen, and other support staff. The structured financial protection strategies for Kenyan households employing domestic workers and staff. This video looks at the structured and affordable ways to protect both your workers and your household financially. We shall discuss how domestic workers can be protected under WIBA, how to extend protection through a domestic package insurance policy, why contributing for your workers under the Social Health Authority is important, the compensation schedules provided under WIBA, and practical financial protection strategies every responsible employer in Kenya should implement. Because protecting your domestic staff is not just a legal obligation, it is also a sign of responsible leadership, humanity, and financial wisdom. Stay tuned until the end of this video because I will also explain how a simple WIBA extension under your domestic package policy can save you from massive unexpected expenses. If you are new here, welcome to Insurance World TV, your premier platform for insurance education, financial protection, and risk management insights in Kenya. Kindly like, subscribe, and share this video so that more Kenyan households can understand the importance of protecting the people who help us build our daily lives. Domestic workers are part of Kenya's recognized employment population and are protected under the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services framework through the Work Injury Benefits Act, commonly known as WIBA. That means if your house help, driver, or gardener suffers an injury, illness, disability, or even death arising out of their work, you as the employer is legally responsible for compensation and medical expenses. And many Kenyan households do not know this until a crisis happens. A simple fall while cleaning windows, a burn injury in the kitchen, a dog bite during errands, or a road accident involving a domestic driver can suddenly expose a family to huge financial and legal liabilities. But here is the good news. There are structured and affordable ways to protect both your workers and your household financially. Let's dive in and look at these strategies one by one. Chapter 1. How domestic workers are protected under Work Injury Benefits Act policy. Let's start with the foundation. The Work Injury Benefits Act, commonly known as WIBA, is the legal framework that governs compensation for employees injured at work, and domestic workers are fully included under this law. So, what does WIBA actually protect them from? Work Injury Benefits Act policy covers compensation for workplace injuries such as burns, cuts, falls, or fractures, road accidents while performing duties, especially drivers and errand workers, permanent disability arising from work, temporary disability during recovery, and death caused by occupational accidents. According to the WIBA Act, employer is required to compensate the employee who gets injured, fatally or otherwise, while on duty. The employer must pay, but the law structures how compensation is calculated. Compensation is not random. It follows a structured schedule based on severity of injury and income level. So, whether it is a house help injured in the kitchen or a driver involved in an accident, WIBA applies equally. But practically, most households are not prepared to pay these costs directly. That is where structured insurance comes in. Chapter 2. How to extend protection through a domestic package insurance policy. Now, let's move to the practical solution. Buying a standalone WIBA policy for 1 or 2 employees may not always be cost-effective, especially since many underwriters apply minimum premium thresholds per policy, typically around 5,000 to 10,000 Kenya shillings. That being the case, one of the most cost-effective ways of providing insurance coverage for domestic staff in Kenyan households is by extending a domestic package insurance policy to include WIBA and employer's liability protection, since this policy is designed specifically for homes that employ these domestic staff. This approach allows employers to consolidate coverage under a single policy, rather than purchasing standalone policies for employees. By bundling WIBA and employer's liability within a domestic package, households benefit from lower premium costs through combined coverage and simplified administration under one policy, thereby getting financial cushioning against unexpected compensation claims. In practical terms, it transforms household employment risk from multiple fragmented exposures into one structured, manageable insurance solution. Here is how these extensions work. 1. WIBA extension cover. This ensures that if a domestic worker is injured at work, compensation is handled by the insurer, not directly from your pocket. Work Injury Benefits Act policy will provide lump sum payments for death, funeral expenses, permanent disability, temporary disability, and accidental medical expense to cover hospital bills after accidents or injuries. 2. Employer's liability cover. This extension protects you in case a worker sues for negligence, there is a legal dispute, or when compensation claims exceed expectations. This is especially important because even with contributions to the Social Health Authority, there are still gaps in emergency care and specialized treatment. Now, how do you get this cover? It is simple. When purchasing or renewing your domestic package policy, declare the number of your domestic staff you have, select WIBA inclusive domestic package cover, and pay an annual premium. When you receive your policy document or renewal endorsement, check and confirm if the domestic staff are captured correctly. This transforms your household from an informal employer to a protected, risk-managed environment. It is important to note that the WIBA extension under domestic package cover may be limited, since it is not primarily an injury insurance policy, and as such, it may only work for staff less than 5 under the minimum wage category. Purchase a standalone WIBA policy if you have more staff, with different job specifications and salary scale above minimum wage. Chapter 3. Why contributing to SHA for domestic workers is important. Now, let's talk about healthcare protection. The Social Health Authority plays a very important role in ensuring access to healthcare for all workers. When you contribute for your domestic workers under Social Health Authority, you are ensuring access to outpatient services, hospital admissions, treatment for chronic illnesses, maternal health care services, and preventive health care. Now here is the key distinction. Social Health Authority covers general illness and health care. WIBA covers work-related injuries and accidents. They are not the same, but they complement each other. Without Social Health Authority, even a simple illness like malaria or infection can become a financial burden on the employer. Without WIBA, a workplace accident can become a legal and financial disaster. So, a responsible employer combines both systems. Chapter 4. Compensation Schedules under Work Injury Benefits Act Policy. Now, let's understand how compensation actually works. Under the Work Injury Benefits Act, compensation is structured into clear categories. 1. Fatal injury or death. Under this category, the policy provides a lump sum benefit equivalent to 8 years of the deceased employee's earnings. In addition, the policy will also pay a separate lump sum towards funeral expenses. These benefits are typically paid to the next of kin or legal dependents of the deceased employee. However, in certain cases, the payment may be made to the employer as the insured for onward transmission to the family of the deceased employee, depending on the claims arrangement and insurer procedures. 2. Permanent total disability. Under the Permanent Total Disability section, the policy provides full compensation up to 8 years of the employee's earnings in cases where the worker is certified as permanently unable to engage in any gainful employment again. In cases involving loss of limbs or permanent partial injuries, the policy provides a structured compensation schedule that assigns specific percentages to different types of bodily injury. For example, if an employee loses one eye, they may be entitled to up to 50% of their 8 years' earnings, depending on the severity as assessed and certified. Each limb or type of permanent injury is allocated a defined compensation percentage, and the final payout is determined based on medical certification issued by a qualified medical practitioner. 4. Temporary total disability. This is also known as income replacement benefits. It compensates for the lost wages that the injured employee would lose while recovering from work-related accident or illness. The compensation is on actual full wages and not a percentage. This benefit can either be paid directly to the employee or, in many cases, refunded to the employer if the employer continued paying full salary while the employee was in recovery. 5. Medical expenses reimbursement. Under this section, the policy reimburses the cost incurred by the employee while seeking treatment following work-related injuries or illnesses. The more severe the injury, the higher the compensation, based on income and medical assessment. For employers, this means one thing. Without insurance, these costs can become overwhelming very quickly. Chapter 5: Practical Financial Protection Strategies. Now, let's bring everything together into practical steps. Every responsible Kenyan employer should implement the following. 1. WIBA Protection Mandatory Foundation. Always ensure domestic workers are covered under WIBA. Use domestic package insurance with WIBA extension for cost-effective options. 2. Social Health Insurance Fund contributions for healthcare protection. Register all workers under the Social Health Insurance Fund. Ensure consistent monthly contributions. 3. Domestic package insurance. Transfer financial risk to insurers. Cover liability, accidents, and medical emergencies. 4. Written employment contracts. Define duties clearly. Avoid disputes. Clarify medical and injury arrangements. 5. Emergency fund. Maintain a small household reserve for urgent medical needs. 6. Safety measures at home. Prevent kitchen accidents. Ensure electrical safety. Train staff on safe practices. 7. Regular policy review. Update insurance when staff or salaries change. Ensure continuous coverage. So, what is the big picture? Domestic workers are not just employees. They are human beings contributing to the smooth running of our households. And as employers, we carry both a legal and moral responsibility. But responsibility does not mean financial burden. With the right structure, WIBA protects against workplace injuries. Social Health Insurance Fund contributions covers healthcare needs. And domestic package insurance protects your finances. In simple terms, you don't avoid risk, you manage it intelligently. That marks the end of our video on the structured financial protection strategies for Kenyan households employing domestic workers and staff. If you found this video helpful, kindly like, subscribe, and share this video on Insurance World TV so that more Kenyan households can understand how to protect both themselves and their domestic workers. Until next time, stay informed, stay protected, and stay insured.